Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?
Hey, everyone in, let's go. Huddle up on 3. 1, 2, 3, huddle up.
No one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around. This is your game now, gentlemen.
Russian 3, dropping 8. Uyangalele steps up, loads and throws. It's caught. It's pitched backwards, up in the air. It's on the ground, still in Clemson's hands. And now it is down. It is over. And the Irish have knocked off number 1 Clemson.
Fans on their feet. Rally towels are being waved. Brad Lidge stretches. The 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Eller for the draw. And as the puck drops, the words that DC fans have been waiting to hear since 1974, the Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
We're not going to be fucking sunk this year. We're the Stanley Cup champions. Yeah!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Huddle Up Podcast. We are live here on our Facebook page, Twitter, and YouTube as well. It is Tuesday night, February the 2nd, 2021, and we are now, of course, just days away from the big game. You know that big game. It's that big one they do every year, and this year it's down in Sean's neck of the woods. And obviously, we're going to we'll talk about that one. We have some other things to talk about before and after, but we will certainly talk about that big game. But Sean, how we doing this week?
Oh, we're doing. I'd say something about how cold it is down here, but I hear there's quite the cold weather front that just tore through the Northeast as well. So I won't complain about my 40 and 50 degree days.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
But I have my winter coat here just in case. Broadcasting outside could get a little chilly. Could get into the low 40s.
Why are you the way you are? That's what I want to know.
I thought I'd preview my send off with the sports history as we go. We're here Super Bowl week. Obviously, a lot of the sports history moments I've been looking at for this week. Super Bowl moments. Tomorrow, February the 3rd, 2 fitting sports history moments that I won't allude at the end of the show. In 2002, the St. Louis Rams were upended as of tomorrow by none other than Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. 2002, I believe that was his first over the Rams. 02 sounds about right. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I was in college, so it sounds right. So Tom Brady had that one. On the same day, February 3rd in 2008, Eli Manning gets his first Super Bowl over who else? Tom Brady. So no omens there. The game obviously not played until Sunday, but found 2 fitting Tom Brady-esque.
There it is.
Now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
Scott, if I could send you snow, I would send you every last bit
all
that
of it.
I have in my town. I would send you literally all of it. I don't know the logistics of sending snow from here to Washington. But Scotty, hold on to the line with the question about the Deshaun Watson situation, because we are going to touch on that before we talk about the big game. But the first thing, since the last time we were on air here, of course, is the trade, the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade that came through the line last week. Now, obviously, this won't go official until March the 17th, when the new season begins. But this is the deal. The Detroit Lions will trade Matthew Stafford to the LA Rams for Jared Goff, a 20 or a third-round pick in this draft, a first-round pick in the 2022 draft, and a first-round pick in the 2023 draft. So, there's been a lot of reaction on both sides of this trade, and honestly, one of the first things, Sean, that I want to touch on, because there's a lot, I think, to kind of unpack when it comes to this trade. I'm amazed at the number of people that underestimate how good Matthew Stafford actually is.
Yeah, I mean, I would completely agree. I think for a large portion of his career, his numbers were maybe a touch overinflated with Calvin Johnson, but there's no shortage of quarterbacks who have numbers inflated for the same reason. I don't know. I'm not going to say Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be competitive, but Devontae Adams helps. Matt Ryan, who I'd put in a very similar boat as Matt Stafford, probably even less talent-wise, obviously inflated whenever Julio Jones is on the field. He can't even win when Julio doesn't play. And, you have some of these other ones. Obviously, our friend Tom Brady, arguably the greatest of all time, the one season with Randy Moss. People do give him a lot of accolades for setting a lot of records that year. Randy Moss helps a lot. So I don't know. I'm not saying that Matt Stafford needed him, and obviously he didn't. He's been putting up ridiculous numbers anyway, with the likes of a one-legged Kenny Golladay and a whatever's left of Marvin Jones, if there ever was anything. He seems to, whatever weapons are on the field, he finds. I mean, he spreads the ball around well, uses his tight ends when he needs to, still loves using a running back out of the backfield if that's what the coach asks. I feel like the number of coaches that have turned through there, for him to continue to put up numbers under all of them is pretty impressive. And you're right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of reaction that feel like the Rams kind of broke even and lost draft picks instead of a massive upgrade at the QB position. And I think it's baffling, on Twitter and everywhere else, reading how poor people think he actually is.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I look at it from this angle, in the fact that if you look at this Rams team, I think the Rams are, they're really at a point where I think they're ready to win now. I mean, they're not far removed from when they were in the Super Bowl. And, they have a defense that can win. They have an offense that can win. They have good receivers. They have a pretty darn good offensive line. And to me, the biggest missing piece was a quarterback. And I'm not just here just to slight Jared Goff, but I don't think he has a deep ball ability. I don't think he has a great arm to spread the field, where with the receivers that they have, you should be able to do that. And Matthew Stafford has proved time and time again that, hurt or not, the guy is going to spread the field. The guy's going to get the ball downfield. And again, I don't think you have to be tremendous to potentially make a run with the rest of the team that LA has. And like, that's what people are forgetting, is like, everybody wants to go to a lack of playoff wins, a lack of playoff appearances for Matthew Stafford, but you have to look at an organization in Detroit that has been bad for a long time, has been just unbelievably mismanaged for how many, not just years, decades. Yeah. Decades, this team. And also, I mean, let's not forget, you had two absolute first ballot Hall of Fame players in Barry Sanders and and Megatron that retired in their prime. You can't tell me that part of that isn't attributed to the way that organization is run. So, for Matt Stafford, I think the fact that Stafford got that team to playoffs and did he have a playoff win? I don't have it pulled up, but like the fact that he even got there to me is shows you how good of a quarterback the guy actually is.
Yeah. I mean, you were pretty much playing in the basement of the league for a good portion of your career. And I mean, even with Calvin Johnson, I mean, one of the reasons Calvin hung it up was because of that. Like you said, it was partially to do with how poor that organization was. We do have Scott. Apparently, I'm going to assume he checked in, showed us 0 playoff wins.
Yeah, I
not
couldn't
sure if he's
remember.
talking about just the Lions in general.
I knew it was 1, if any.
Yeah, because I thought maybe they had cracked in, with a Calvin Johnson one year. But they're always in 0-3 in the playoffs, according to Ryan there, 0-3. So I'll take these guys' word for it. I could start Googling, but I'm talking now. So, but I see Scott there. We have it up on the video feed pointing out Matt Millen, worst GM that ever lived. Yeah. I don't know about worst.
He's up,
but he's on. If there's a hand that holds the bottom, he's in that hand. It was a train wreck situation, and unfortunately for that city, who remains incredibly loyal. We alluded, when we talked about the Browns resurgence a few weeks ago, we mentioned how loyal the city of Cleveland's been to that franchise and like how much they love it. The city of Detroit's right there with them. Do I think they deserve a Thanksgiving game every year? Maybe.
Oh, and it's the only time they're going to get a national audience. Just let them.
That's true. They could just have it. Just move it around in the day.
Yeah,
someone else that noon game.
They're the noon game. You're either eating or you're making the food, so you're usually not sitting down and watching it anyway.
But what the trade does for me is Scott alluded to it in one of his comments earlier. When you look at the NFC West, it really, and I don't think the Rams were in any question not going to challenge for the NFC West anyway. But it instantly shakes up kind of power rankings out there. And he pointed out the quarterbacks between Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, Kyler Murray, and as of now, Jimmy G. I think that could change with.
Yeah, I say right now the Niners have the worst quarterback in that division.
Yeah, and you talk about from that quarterback list, I think it's glaringly obvious who the worst of the 4 is. And I think when you look at the results of this season, injuries or not, and you look at, we're going to assume, I think, that Seattle's going to bounce back from whatever was ailing everyone this year. Maybe they don't, but I think you're at a point where we've had, we're 1 year removed from the 49ers being in the Super Bowl, and they had won one, within the last 10 years or so. I think you're back to a point where it looks like they're going to get pushed to the bottom. I know they have a great defense and, have a good offensive coordinator. The coach seems to have the team. Could they win games? Sure. But I think when you look at them on paper this early, which is way too early to make any calls, I don't know. I think the Rams sit right on top. I don't really see, when you add a QB that can play competitively and is going to give you 110%, which is way better than the 100% you're going to get out of Jared Goff. I think it instantly makes that team a strong playoff contender and a chance to win now. And obviously Seattle and Russell Wilson, you can't count out. We all know that Kyler Murray's frustrated with the up and down play in Arizona. But, that is what it is too. If he can stay healthy, that's a big if. I think I have the 49ers currently in my head anyway, penciled in at 4 out of 4. So I don't know. It should be an interesting way to shake it up. I think Matt's going to like playing for McVay. I think, kind of a chance to disguise some things, see some different looks than he's seen before, and kind of get a chance to maybe do a little late career resurgence. I hope he at least gets to the playoff. I'd like to see him succeed and kind of, push some of those critics off of his back there.
See Scott here asks, do you think there was tampering with McVay and Stafford and Cabo or weird coincidence? I'm not even sure what that's referring to.
Frankly, I don't care. I'm sure if there is, they're going to find it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But generally, if it's a face-to-face meeting, it's a real hard one to prove. It's just, it's not like they booked the same flight. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think here's the thing. I think both teams won.
Popular vacay spot.
Whenever there's a trade, everybody talks about who won the trade, who lost the trade. I think both teams won this trade for different reasons. The Detroit Lions got a quarterback that is good enough to be a starter, obviously. I mean, he took a team to a Super Bowl. He was the quarterback of a team that went to a Super Bowl. You can argue whether or not he took them or not. And if nothing else, he's going to be a transitional quarterback to fill that starting role. And they also now have a more stock and draft picks, and including 2 first-round picks. Now, if things pan out for the Rams, these are going to be late-round first-round picks. I would assume they are. However, you're probably going to have a low first-round pick. You're going to have a later first-round pick. But there's still 2 first-round draft picks in the upcoming seasons and a third-round pick this year.
A lot of talent taken in the last half of a first round.
So there's a lot of, there's a lot to build on with Detroit, because let's be honest, that's what they're doing. New coach, new leadership.
All that team is a foundation and a blank slate.
Exactly. So,
perfect.
You have another opportunity to try and rebuild. And for the Rams, you have a quarterback that definitely puts you in more of a position here. Ryan says, if that is any other quarterback, they'd be thrashed for going 0-3. Guy is trash.
And that's a load of garbage.
Yeah.
This is the guy that, first of all, to come at me or us saying that I would not drag him through the trash if he was awful. Baker Mayfield now has a playoff win and was just as ineffective as Matt Stafford as far as a playoff perspective goes. And I've done nothing but drag his face through the mud for the last 2 years I've been doing this podcast. And Baker Mayfield's just as likable off the field as Matt Stafford, probably more.
I would say I would say absolutely more.
Stafford's not that funny. He doesn't have a great media presence. He's literally probably one of the most boring off the field quarterbacks that I try to sell people on.
Real bitch.
But the guy's tough as nails, plays through all the injury. He does everything he can do to be out there on the field, and basically just goes out there and slings laser beams across the field because, let's face it, they've never been in positions in games to have a running game for 4 quarters. So he's just getting chased around the field by the 4th quarter because they're throwing it every down.
Well,
and it's been impressive to watch. I love watching his highlights, and I'm going to say it.
When it comes down to playoff record, again,
there's not many of them, but I love watching them.
But you got to look at this situation. If Aaron Rodgers with the teams he's had, or if Drew Brees with the Saints teams that he had, or what have you. I mean, if those guys had gone 0-3 in the playoffs and never made it back the other 9 seasons they were quarterback, then they'd be getting drugged. Absolutely. Because if you have a talented team and a well-run organization and you can only get to the playoffs 3 times in 12 seasons and never win a playoff game, then you probably as quarterback should be run through the mud a little bit. But when you look at that organization, there's very few. I would put them in the 5 worst run organizations in the NFL. They're probably taking number 1 most seasons. You're looking at a guy that
I'd say top 3 probably. And I mean, the only team in recent history would be the Jets, would be obviously, one of the top 3 and rotate in and out
for a while, but they're finally
for a while. I mean, I would argue, I know they're a middle of the road team, but I would say maybe the Bengals are on that list only because they just can't, they're just content with mediocrity. I mean, Marvin Lewis was the coach of a sub 500 team for a decade and a half. I mean, how does a coach hold that job that long? And, we talked about Pip Rivers last week, hanging up the shoes. He got out of a pretty toxic situation in California with the Chargers. I think they're a pretty poorly run, just in general, franchise that just
Texans
somehow winds up with enough talent to be – oh, Texans, absolutely. I didn't even think of Houston. Good Lord. What a dumpster fire it is down there.
But I pulled up Stafford's stats, and I mean the guy averages. Now this is taking into account 1 season where he started 3 games without injury, and another season where he only started half the season without injury. And even with those seasons, he's averaged almost 4,000 passing yards a year.
Yep.
Now, granted, they're playing from behind a lot, so you're going to throw the ball.
Sure.
His touchdown interception rate is almost 2-1. So and again, you're playing in a bad team with a bad offensive line, no running game. For the last handful of seasons, you haven't had the best receiver of his generation. So, but still, only 1 receiver.
And keep in mind, our argument here is not that Matt Stafford is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Absolutely,
or even challenging for a best all time slot there. We're just making the argument that he's better than because people, the way it comes up, people are critiquing this trade the upgrade from Goff to Stafford isn't that that big,
Which
and that they gave up way too much. Did they give up more? I guess, but we overpay quarterbacks in dollars.
Right.
It's not like
Why
the Rams
draft picks.
The Rams don't have a ton of holes. Draft picks are still a gamble. And if you think you have the tools to win and you want that quarterback now, it sounds like they weren't willing to compete or pay or afford a Deshaun Watson, obviously. So why not go for a guy at the tail end of his career trying to prove something?
And let's be honest, too. You can get draft picks back later on. I mean, you can even – you can.
And they have a lot of young talent and older talent.
And we see –
later.
Yeah, and we see trades that involve just picks from time to time. So, yeah, they don't have a first rounder, but you may be able to move, a fourth rounder, a third and fourth rounder, or a third and fifth rounder and get a second round pick or something like that. Like, draft.
Not to mention the cockiness of like a McVay-esque coach, the coach that has like the system that they believe in, and they already have a lot of the pieces in place. He has a lot of faith in being able to find diamonds in the rough. Those kind of coaches are like, I know what type of – it's like a Belichick. Belichick's never had – what was the highest draft pick before this year that Bill Belichick had? I guess it would be the year he took over. Because, I mean, ever since he hasn't – I mean, has he had a season bad enough to draft in the top 15?
I mean, he will next year.
Well, yeah, I said up until
but
this year.
Otherwise, no. I mean,
they're a system team. They're a team that like we know what we want. We have this kind of player, and we'll find them in whatever round we draft in. You can find talent wherever you want.
Yeah,
you just got to be good at it.
They made the playoffs forever. And Scotty says that Stafford will get run through the mud with the LA media if he doesn't succeed. Well, he only has 2 years left on his contract. So,
and he's already used to not playing in front of fans. So,
right, exactly.
That's something.
And let's be honest, there won't be a full stadium in LA next year if there's fans, period.
Actually, I guess the difference is in Detroit, no matter how bad they are, people still show up.
Right. And
what else is there to do in Detroit?
And LA, this year they probably won't be allowed to.
Poor
yet.
Jared Goff. Boy, I didn't even think of that. Having to go from Los Angeles to Detroit.
Like a city that doesn't totally care about football, but to caring about it all the time. Yeah, no Thanksgiving game for Stafford unless the Rams play in it. I think he'll be fine with that.
I think he's okay with that.
I think he'll survive. But again, he has
he
2
can
years.
Actually play on Sunday night now.
Yeah, he has 2 years left on his contract. He has 2 years left on his contract, so I don't think there's going to be an opportunity for him to quote unquote get run through the mud. I mean, granted, if they, really fall on their face this year, that'd be one thing, but I also don't see that happening. Again, that team,
I don't see anything happening from a Stafford's, Stafford's shoulders. Like if they fail, you're going to see them fail elsewhere. Maybe it's injuries, maybe it's, the system not working. Maybe it's just the harder schedule. Who knows? But I don't think you're going to be able to look at anything that goes wrong with the Rams, if anything, and go, that's Matt Stafford's fault.
Yeah. Absolutely not.
No more than you could with Goff.
Right. It's an upgrade for the Rams at the quarterback position. It's an upgrade in future stock for the Detroit Lions. I think both teams won, like I said, for different ways. But I think it gives the Rams the opportunity to put themselves in a position to win and to win now. And they did not have that opportunity with Jared Goff under center. And to me that's the mark of winning a trade. Like if you're not going to be in the market for Deshaun Watson, and I it's probably obvious that they weren't willing to pay the price, then this
would have been ironic if they'd have tried to trade for Carson Wentz.
Yes. Yeah, it probably would have been. But yeah, it's a good deal. But in terms of other quarterback deals this offseason, now, we kind of turn our eyes to what is going to happen with Deshaun Watson. We know that he formally requested a trade. Now we've seen this deal go through. Now Scotty posed this question. I know Scott's a Raiders fan. And I don't know where this proposal came up. I saw him tweet about it the other day, but it says Derek Carr, Waller, and 4 first-round picks for Watson. I think.
Good Lord! I mean, I just read an article about Carr going on the block essentially, and that there's interest there in Watson. There's interest around the league in Watson. Like it's not like teams like nah, not worth it, you know. But yeah, Colin Cowherd also. I see it, he says it came from Colin Cowherd, and I know Cowherd is he speaks a lot in hypotheticals. He makes his points.
Yeah.
I agree probably with Cowherd a hair more than I don't agree, but it's closer to 50-50. Like he's paid to go on rants, he's paid to do his thing, and a lot of his stuff's hypothetical and it's made up a little bit in his brain. Are there sources? Maybe. But I don't know. The 4 first-round picks sounds
that's awful steep. Now, could you have 2 first-round picks and some second-rounders and a third-rounder? Possibly. Like, don't get me wrong. There will be a stock of picks that would be involved in this potential trade. Backing up here just a second, Ryan says, who do you think's the better QB, Goff or Wentz? I still think Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Jared Goff.
I would agree, and I think
it's closer than Eagles fans might think.
Right? Yeah, I think it is closer.
But I do think Carson is better.
Yeah, and there's an argument there of like what's the team to team, what system are you running? I mean, if you're running a Rams style offense where mostly running the ball when it's working, short passes, quick releases, those kind of like Goff's very effective in it, but it's nothing that Carson Wentz can't do.
The reason I think Wentz
that's more of a deep ball. He's a little more mobile, and I think he just commands a field better when a coach lets him.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is the two things that separate Wentz from Goff to me is the ability to get the ball further downfield, which again I said it in the first topic. I don't think Goff can do
with accuracy,
and the ability. The ability to move around in the pocket if it breaks down and to be mobile. And like, let's be real, like Wentz isn't as mobile as he was. There's that, the lingering injury.
I don't really necessarily want him to be.
No, but he's still more mobile than Jared Goff. So, back to the Deshaun Watson thing. Like, I mean, here's the thing, like Derek Carr is clearly to me is clearly not the answer for the Las Vegas Raiders in terms of a long-term option. But do you want to give up that much to get Deshaun Watson? I mean, Waller is your best receiving option really right now.
Yeah, you're going to immediately like you got a guy that's upset in Houston because they got rid of his best receiver. And you're going to trade for him, and in the deal package in your best receiver is highly questionable.
And there's very few, and there's very few in this league anymore. Tight ends that are the George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Waller level tight end, and they're invaluable to if you have that good of a.
Well, there's
tight
some
end.
that I think athletically are capable of being those guys, but the systems teams are running aren't going to. A lot of the teams aren't going to run a tight end system that supports that. But yeah, they're just not there for the most case.
And the thing we've seen with Kittle is injuries have started to kind of plague him. He can't seem to stay healthy. Kelce has been a beast so far, and Waller through his first 2 seasons has been absolutely pretty much like unstoppable. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, and he catches just about everything. So if I'm
bottom barrel of the league, you pass the ball off 4 quarters. That does help those statistics.
Sure, absolutely. So I mean, if I'm the Raiders, I'm probably not moving Waller. 4 first-round picks would be awful steep. But like if I can make a deal to bring in Deshaun Watson, absolutely. That is a huge upgrade. But I think just looking elsewhere, and by elsewhere, I whether it's a draft or whether it's free agency or in other trades, I would definitely look past Derek Carr. I think the Derek Carr situation has played itself out in Oakland / Las Vegas, and he's not the guy. He's not the guy there. I don't know that he's the guy anywhere in terms of being a starter. I just think he had a couple of good seasons, and now he's just either kind of plateaued or he's actually kind of on the downslope. But I think I don't blame you, Scotty. As a Raiders fan, I don't blame you for being over Derek Carr.
I do blame you for being a Raiders fan, though.
Right. You did that to yourself.
that you've chosen on your own.
We all make bad
the thing with Derek Carr, I don't know that it's over. I think Derek Carr, there's a level of talent there, and you talked about throwing the ball downfield. I think he's very effective at that. I don't think the offense that they run really lets him, which is ironic that they drafted the fastest receiver in the draft in the hopes of getting the ball downfield and then called 0 plays to get the ball downfield. I thought that was a really strange situation with Ruggs. Ruggs being on the team, I think that'd be an interesting draw for Watson, but Watson likes to be the most athletic guy on the field anyway. I feel like it's an interesting trade because if Carr's coming to Houston, I think Houston could do worse. Like if you're rebuilding anyway, there's no point in bringing in, unless you're drafting a rookie, which they could. You're not really looking at your quarterback of the future here. You're trying to find a guy to maybe you're bringing in a new Deshaun Watson, a guy you think's going to do it, and you want a guy to fill the void for a few years while you build around him. Carr could be fine for that. And maybe a fresh change of scenery, you're going to see more of the, somebody that lets Carr play within his comfortability, which clearly the Raiders were not doing. I don't know. I think it's a strange situation. As for Watson, I know he has the ability to block some trades, I believe, in his contract, and he's not going to accept just anything. This is one I would block. I don't think it's a great scenario for him. If you're looking to upgrade and challenge and try to prove you're somebody, maybe win some games, I don't think you're going to the right place to do it. I don't think it's the right coach for him. I don't think it's the right GM for him, and I don't think it's in general to go to agree to go to a conference with or division with Pat Mahomes. I don't think that's what you want at all.
No, I don't think so.
If I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm looking to go to the East Coast, preferably something in the East or Central. Go to the NFC if you can. I would try to just distance myself from anything there. There's going to be plenty of teams looking for you. New England, I called back when DeAndre Hopkins was traded. I said, Deshaun Watson's going to ride this contract out, and he should have. He took the new deal, should have never done that. Just let the deal run out, go to New England, because Brady moved. Once Brady moved, I'm like, here it goes. Deshaun, it worked out perfectly. They go 1 year off, they get a better draft pick, and then they're like, hey, Deshaun Watson, why don't you come play for him? And they didn't look like they were going to get to do that. I thought my prediction was way wrong, but now all of a sudden, somebody wants out, they want to trade.
The Cam Newton situation was right, a 1 year.
It's perfect for Deshaun Watson because he doesn't have to follow Tom Brady. He gets to follow Cam Newton. It would be I would gladly go there. A chance to go to a no-nonsense coach after the garbage coaches you've played for. A chance to go to an organization with a track record unlike the one you play for now. It would be a completely different scenario. You'd have to be okay restructuring and understanding that if you do well, you're still not going to get the kind of money you've already gotten. You would have to be okay with that because Robert Kraft isn't going to cut checks. But I think if you're Bill Belichick and you just saw what you're capable of when you don't magically have this magical 6th round draft pick, and you're not going to be able to go out and search for that replacement if you're not willing to spend a little money, and maybe the quarterback position is a place to do that.
And I think part of your sales pitch to Deshaun Watson, if you're the New England Patriots, should be, look, you're going to get less money in year-to-year salary, but, playoffs, incentives, Super Bowl incentives, restructure that deal, signing bonus, playoff, Super Bowl bonuses, things like that. Be like, look, we're going to rebuild what we've done for the past 20 years, or at least attempt to. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that Deshaun Watson is the greatest of all time and is going to be able to go to 10 Super Bowls in 19 years, but he's good enough that if you put the team around him, we're going to be able to get into the playoffs, go deep into the playoffs, make runs at Super Bowls, and then there's going to be more incentives and bonuses and things like that for you if and when we do those sort of things.
Well, yeah, and it's the Patriots are going to have to budge a little, and so are Deshaun, like you said, he's going to have to budge a little bit and be like, you know what, you're not going to have to be you're not going to be the top deal. Being the Patriots is the top deal, the whole thing. But I think the Patriots are going to have to budge a little here too, because I think you're looking at a Patriots team and you're like, Bill will put it back together. The trouble is there's holes other places, and I know there were players that opted out for COVID, but guess what? COVID's still here. It's just a question of, is that defense going to put itself back together? I know it was still a top half defense. It was pretty impressive what they did with the guys that didn't show up this year. But offensively, I think the wide receiver core is not near what it was. Edelman did not look near as effective. He's having trouble staying healthy, which seems to be a trend at his age with the type of receiver that he has been for most of his career. You take a pounding, and he's not that big of a guy. And so you have this. You don't have a Gronk anymore. You're trying to find that centerpiece. The running game, they seem to have found that. I feel like they have a rookie or a second-year guy coming up that looks like maybe they're going to be able to run the ball. And, for a guy like Deshaun Watson, having somebody that can run the ball and then a quarterback that also can, but he doesn't need to, I think if you're the Patriots, you have to look at maybe paying it. Because I think if you bring in a young guy like Watson with all that talent, it's going to be a lot easier to find free agent pieces to fill some of those holes. Because you've proven okay, look, we're going to pay people to be a winner. Like, it's not like Kraft is short any money, and they're not in any cap danger. So I would say the Patriots also have to budge a little here and understand you may have to pay unless you want to go out and sign a Sam Darnold, because he's going to be expendable, obviously, in New York. You want to go trade for a Sam Darnold and say, you know what, we can do it with a middle tier guy, then go do that. And if you do it, congratulations. But it's going to be a lot easier to get back quicker and make Belichick look better if you go get that talent and spend some money to do it.
And let's be honest too, Bill Belichick's 67, 68 years old. So
he can still coach longer than Brady can play, hypothetically.
Hypothetically. You
can coach from a hospital bed.
Well, you can. We don't know if Tom can play quarterback from a hospital bed or from a walker. We don't know. And look at him. He's aging in reverse, Sean. He says he's going to play till 45. He might play till he's 50 at this rate. He's just going to keep raining Lombardis down there in Tampa Bay, and you're going to have to deal with it.
He's going to win two and go. Anyway, of course, he's got to win this one first, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
He does.
I see the last little question here. Obviously not going to go into a full rant about it. Would Kirk Cousins be an upgrade over Jimmy G in San Francisco? Yes. In my opinion, yes. Jimmy G's a lot younger, though, so there's a higher ceiling. That's the difference. Is like Kirk Cousins, we've seen his ceiling. Is it good? Yes. Is it great? At times. And with a running game and a good offensive line, I think he's incredibly effective. I think having some weapons for him, which the Niners have some decent receiving options for him, including a great tight end. I think he could be an upgrade, but it's going to be an upgrade like these sneakers are comfortable, but they'd probably be more comfortable if I spent $20 on some insoles. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to help. I'm going to be a little less grouchy.
I think they're about the same.
Maybe feel a little spring in my step, but it's still the same goddamn pair of shoes. So, maybe just get better shoes and just build a whole better product around.
I think there's
that was not a perfect analogy, and I took a weird turn there at the end with the new pair of shoes. I don't even know what I meant by that.
There's
either way, I want to spend money to get them.
No, there's going to be times when Garoppolo's better. There's going to be times where Kirk Cousins is better. But overall, I think they're about the same guy. I think you're going to get about the same.
You're not going to get his hot girlfriends coming to your games.
Well,
Kirk Cousins doesn't have all the hot playmate girlfriends.
That's true. That is true.
That's a downgrade. That's a downgrade.
That is a downgrade. Unless you don't like that.
Plus, Jimmy G, I'd imagine if he's doing that kind of scene, great bachelor pad, probably an awesome place to hang out, get away from the fam for a couple of months.
To Minnesota, if you're Jimmy Garoppolo.
God, no.
Let's see, Bay Area, Santa Clara, or Minneapolis.
God, he just doesn't fit there. But he better start playing better and stay healthy, or he's not going to fit in San Francisco either.
No, I think he could be a target to move back to New England as well. He's
possible.
A guy.
You're going to have to pay more than you got for him.
Right, which will be silly. But so ultimately, Sean, before we go to break, where do you think, if it's not Houston, where do you think Deshaun Watson is under center next year?
I'm going to stick with my original. I'm going to say New England sucks it up, finds a way to get it done.
I'm going to stay in that division, but I'm going to go to South Beach. I say that it wasn't a smoke screen, and that Miami's going to move Tua, and Deshaun Watson will be in Miami. I don't think they're sold on.
I don't hate that. I think it's a good. It's one of my hypothetical landing on a list of 5. I would have that at easily on the
Who
top five.
Who are the other ones?
Well, I mean, with the report I read, I guess Oakland's kind of on there. But I would say New England. I'd say Miami. I did have an Indianapolis on that list, and I'm kind of holding it there because they're still in the search. But yeah, I don't see that happening. A part of me kind of thinks that like one of those teams in the top 5 drafting, like a Jacksonville, could try to make a play. Because Jacksonville's not going to, because they're going to get the number 1. But like a New York Jets, if they could leverage a ton of picks, including that pick right there, be like, you know what? We've done this before. Like we can't find our guy. Sam Darnold did not work out. What if you could just get us already a proven talent, and then we'll just give you all the future because we suck at drafting? Like, just do that. The Jets would be so the Jets are probably like the Jets.
I think the Jets are absolutely
3 of the 4 AFC East teams. Jets, Dolphins.
The ones who really don't have a quarterback.
I also think the Redskins are an interesting play.
The Washington,
even though they'll probably
absolutely.
Every time.
Maybe
by the start of the next season, I'll be down. Well, once they get when they get another team name, because they're going to pick one, they can't just stick with football.
There's been talk that they might stay with football team.
Well, that's going to screw up everything. It's going to be the Redskins in my head. Like I need a picture. I need a thing. But I think that's an interesting take because I think there's a good chance they wind up with Cam. I think Cam could wind up there, but I like I like Washington as a dog in the fight.
Carolina needs a quarterback, but they also have a lot more problems than quarterbacks. So I don't think he's going to.
And that's the trouble with the hypothetical Oakland scenario is you have to say, if we're going to leverage this much to get him, like is he the piece we need? Because if you need a ton of pieces, by the time you get it
together, Watson's going to be
he's going to leave because his contract be up.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater can get you through another year.
I like Teddy. I think Teddy played a good year. I think Teddy's
without Christian McCaffrey. So
yeah, I think Teddy's fine. I think Carolina needs to look at other pieces and
Indy possibly, but the Jets are the other one I kind of thought too.
I like Jets. I like and I like Washington kind of.
Yeah, Washington
in there because Rivera needs another quarterback. They've gotten there.
I think he's leaning towards retirement. Wouldn't blame him. So we will obviously keep an eye on that. We will pause here. We will hear from our sponsor, and on the other side, obviously, we are going to talk about the big game this Sunday in Tampa Bay. So stick with us. Huddle Up Live.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop. Welcome back, Huddle Up Podcast, live on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube as well. Sean and Jim here with you. If you're following along with us, give us a like and a share. We'd appreciate that. Make sure you are following us on our social media channels at Huddle Up Podcast, Facebook and Twitter. Instagram is at Huddle Up Pod. You can find me at Big Jim Sports. You can find Sean at Sean Shine State, of course, down there. And what I can only imagine is just a glorious feeling, warm climate. I can only imagine what that feels like at this point. It's not
bad. Like I said, you get these, and it's a 40 to 50 degree, but I mean it's real strong, sea winds. So it feels like it's hard to believe there's a wind chill in the 40s, but there is.
Did the sun shine today, Sean?
At some point, yes, it did.
I bet that was nice.
I saw sunshine. Well, it's a city they call it the Sunshine City because at one point it has the record for most consecutive days with at least some sunshine. Happened like a decade ago. It's some ridiculous number, like a year and a half. It's like something like 400 and some odd days or 500 and some consecutive days with at least some sunshine, even in hurricane land. So not too bad. You get it all the time.
Nice. We just dug out, had about 10, 11, 12 inches of snow. Spent the last 2 days digging out. Arms hurt.
Yeah, I don't miss that part.
Shoulders hurt.
I see all the videos and the pictures of the snow, and it looks really pretty. And I'm like, I miss that. It's a little bit.
I mean, it does look pretty, but shoveling's not pretty. Dog not dealing with the snow too well. He's not a fan.
I guess with the dog, it's a thing. I was gonna say during a pandemic, if you've had yourself stocked up well enough already, maybe just don't shovel it. Just be like, screw it.
Yeah, because your neighbor, we have really good neighbors. He used his snowblower and cleared the sidewalk.
Oh, nice. That's nice of him.
But I didn't have to do that, but had other stuff dig out, 2 cars, so, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. You deal with it. And
you deal with it.
Summertime's a little less intolerable than it is down in Florida, I would imagine.
Got days here where it's like, well, it's the afternoon. It's 110 degrees. I guess I'm not going anywhere.
I'm staying inside today.
I'm staying inside the rest of the day. Afternoon rains are coming. You're like, oh, driving in the rain, right? Like you have no idea. Like the summertime afternoon rains that do happen here, just don't. Like people here drive through it, and I'm like, how? All the roads are flooded. They flood to there's nowhere to drain. So like if it's not a main highway, like the roads are just 2 feet away, and people are blasting through it in like Honda Civics. I'm like, do you have a flotation device under that thing? Like, I don't understand.
In Florida, you haven't totally acclimated yet.
Be creative. Good news is you don't have to pay to inspect your car. So
there you go.
If it floods and drowns, just pretend to fix it and sell it to someone else.
Exactly. All right. This Sunday, obviously, big game, Super Bowl 55.
Oh
yeah. Oop. Got to hit pause.
It's all right. It was exciting music. There's a football game. It's a big game.
Big game.
We're just trying to build, Super Bowl, big game.
This Sunday, kickoff 6:30, probably 6:38 or something silly. But CBS is the network airing it, Sean, on the season. You and I, you have already won for the year. I was 2-0, 38-37 overall. You were 41-34 overall. The worst I can do is 500. You obviously remain above. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. The line's still at 3. I think we talked about the early line last week.
Move
that it was like 3.5. Hasn't budged in the week. I think that also may have some bit to do with Kansas City losing their left tackle to the Achilles injury. Now you have, I think it's like a center and a guard or something that were, a close contact to a COVID positive. So they're in protocol right now. So potential loss of 3 offensive linemen for the Kansas City Chiefs. Not great.
Well, the good news is Tampa doesn't really have pass rush. So
yeah. Ooh. The team barber that the Chiefs brought in tested positive, so they're monitoring that situation.
Who's cutting their hair? It's 2 weeks,
right?
Inside a bubble. What the heck?
Even still, get the haircut the day after the championship game,
and then just be ready. 2 weeks.
And I saw that today. I was like, man, that's. Well, I mean, I get it. Teams have guys that come in and team barbers and stuff like that. But I'm like, maybe just have one of your players be a barber. I remember there's a book called like Boys Will Be Boys. It's about like the Cowboys of the 90s. And one of the guys on the team was like the team barber. Like he just knew how to cut hair. And
the Giants used to have Tiki Barber.
And the Buccaneers had Rondé Barber.
Rondé Barber.
Maybe he was the guy. Maybe Rondé Barber was the guy, and it was
maybe he was the guy. Rondé Barber.
It was on purpose. Sabotage.
I don't care who you are. That's funny.
But Michael Irvin, because kind of like the protocols of the team were like, if you were a rookie, you let the veterans go first. If you were a young player, you let the veterans go first. And this rookie didn't give up his seat, and this was like cocaine Michael Irvin, and he just took a pair.
Michael Irvin, I think there was.
He took a pair of scissors off the counter and stabbed the guy in the leg.
Which is a very natural reaction to the situation.
All right, like, get out of my seat. No, all right, bam,
stab you.
Stab you in the leg.
Cocaine Michael Irvin and Iron Mike Tyson, very similar.
Right. Very, very similar.
I broke my back. Spinal.
But let's look at this game this Sunday, Sean, and then we will go over some of the prop bets. Obviously, prop bets are always a fun thing to do with the Super Bowl. I obviously don't have all of them. I mean, if you can find them everywhere, there's just pages and pages of prop bets, but we'll go over some of the ones here. But,
I actually made bets as to which prop bets you're going to talk about.
Oh,
I have bets out there on
about which ones we're going to talk about.
By which you are going to talk about, yes.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes for you. I think these teams are extremely close matched. I think the league really did get. I don't necessarily want to say the absolute best matchup, but I think this is one of the best matchups you could have gotten for the Super Bowl this year. We talked about some of the storylines a week ago with, Brady versus Mahomes, and it's, an old, obviously not the Buccaneers dynasty, but Brady coming off the Patriots dynasty, the Chiefs trying to start a new one, the Bucs trying to get the Super Bowl win, first team playing at home. So I think this is just a fantastic matchup. You have, an innovative offense versus, probably, a top 5 defense in the league, definitely the best one in the playoffs as it played out. And the defense has gotten better over the last month and a half, 2 months of the season. And then, you have a Chiefs defense that ain't too shabby themselves, and they can force turnovers and they can force mistakes. But then it's Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, and more times than not, when he gets there, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I mean, we've seen him do it, but the guy is pretty damn solid when he gets to the big game. So, for me, I've been riding the Buccaneers, and I've been enjoying this run. I've always said Tom's never hurt me, so I have no reason to root against Tom in this situation. I love history. Might as well get 7, and just he can have more than the Steelers and everybody else. And why the heck not at this point? We were already watching the greatest of all time play. Might as well just continue to solidify that resume. And if the Chiefs win, I don't dislike the Chiefs. Like, this is a great matchup for me because I don't care either way. I'm rooting for the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers, I think they cover. I think they win. So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. In terms of the over-under at 56.5.
60 what and a half?
56.5.
Did I say 66.5?
Yeah, so 56.5.
Okay, that's a little
man, I feel like that's a really good spot for that number. But I think if the Bucs are going to do it, they're probably going to have to limit the Chiefs' offense and really shut down Mahomes. So I'm going to take the under in this one. I don't think it's going to be under by a lot, but I think if the Buccaneers are going to win this game, I don't think you want to get into a shootout necessarily with Kansas City's offense. So I think you're going to want to limit Mahomes a little bit and let Tom be Tom, but also let your ground game do it. So I'm going to go Tampa Bay plus. Tampa Bay wins outright. They're Super Bowl champions, and I'm going to take the under.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's a pretty great matchup for the NFL. I was still pulling for, like, you had the top tiers the whole way through. I thought Chiefs Packers was going to be the pick. I wanted it, like I said before, I wanted it to happen on the anniversary, one of the anniversary years, but I think Chiefs Packers. But that game sells because it was Super Bowl I, but it also sells for the same reasons this game sells, in that it's one of the best of all time. But I would have liked that because it would have been like Aaron Rodgers gets his chance. He's finally back to the Super Bowl. I think that would have been a fun. Whereas this is like, we knew he'd be back, just didn't think it'd be this soon. But yeah, you kind of get the argument of, like, potentially, it's all based on the hype of Pat Mahomes and the work ethic of Pat Mahomes and the fact he could be the best of all time. The reigning champion against the kind of proverbial all-time champion. There's a lot of ways to sell it. Either way, my man Andy Reid found his way back, and I'm super excited for that. I think it makes a fun sell, offensive lineman down or not. I think that Andy Reid I just like Andy Reid to be creative. I don't think he lets you see the same looks twice. Usually when you've already played a team, because the Chiefs were here this year for a game, which, by the way, Pat Mahomes stayed hours after the game, walking the entire field for a lay of every single yard line. That actually happened. Like, Mahomes before/after the game made sure he walked the field, and in an interview was asked about it and said, like, well, if you're planning on getting back here, you want to make sure you know exactly wherever. So it was this kind of whole, like, look, I expect to be there again. I'm not sure he expected to be playing the same team, but he figured, if I'm going to be in the stadium that the Super Bowl is going to be at, I want to make sure I know every inch of that surface. So the guy's a competitor. I'm going to go the opposite of you. I'm going to go with the Chiefs in this. I'm going to trust my man Andy. I'm going to trust in Andy. I trust. He's got the monkey off his back. Just, if he's trying to crawl back up, they just throw him off again. Andy Reid. I'm going to take youth. I'm going to take what I think is a much faster team, despite what Scotty Miller seems to believe. I'm going to take the speed on offense. Yeah, how ridiculous was that?
Yeah, careful what you wish for there, Scotty.
Everybody said, like, all the right things, and Scotty Miller just like, I'm faster than Tyreek Hill. I beat him in a race. And I'm like,
whoops.
No. Sorry. Like, it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the YouTube video that shows Tyreek Hill running the 100-meter dash in high school, and they, like, transpond it over, like, Olympic races and show, like, where his line would have been. And there's like medal rounds of Olympics where he would have been like second, third, or fourth. And they're not old ones. Yeah. Like, his high school 100-meter dash time was faster than Olympic sprinters. Scotty Miller's wrong. Scotty Miller's wrong. And unfortunately for you, so are you. The Chiefs are going to have their offensive line woes. You weren't going to stop the defensive pass rush anyway. You had hope to contain it. Now it's just a harder task. And I think now it's going to be Andy Reid gets an opportunity to try to do that with play calling. I think you're going to see some of the speedy wideouts, whether it's Tyreek Hill or a Hardman or even a Pringle. I don't really know which one of them, but I think you're going to see a lot of underneath routes. You're going to see running backs kind of break out and kind of try to get behind that pass rush. It's not a strategy a lot of teams use, but I watched Andy Reid long enough in Philadelphia to know that that was an era where the Giants had a great pass rush. The Cowboys had a pretty darn good one, and even Washington at the time had a pretty good one as well. Notice I didn't say the Redskins there, even though at the time
I'm proud of you, Sean.
Just got to get used to saying Washington. But I just think he's creative enough, and he's going to show you enough different looks that you may not get a chance. Also, Pierre-Paul, apparently I just saw something called out. I didn't call out a lineman. It was just like, I never heard of him. Like, just threw one of those out there. And I'm like, okay, like, you got to stop doing this. Like, you got to understand, you've never been here. Andy Reid now has. They've done this before. I understand it's your own stadium. But even little backhanded comments like that, the Chiefs have given no locker room material. They're not putting anything in there. They tried to bait Pat Mahomes with it and ask him about Scotty Miller and like what he said. And like a true professional is just like, well, I guess he's allowed to believe that, I suppose. And like this whole like, yeah, I think it's great. I think it's exciting. He thinks that, and it's like a whole. He just kind of like he's allowed to think what he wants. We're not going to see him race anytime soon or something like that. And just he's like, we'll just just excited to play in a game or something. Like it was a real veteran answer. But I'm gonna get right to my pick now. I've stumbled up to it, but I'm gonna take the Chiefs. I'm gonna take Chiefs to cover. I'm gonna take Andy Reid to cover pretty substantially here. And I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna go the exact opposite of you both ways. I think you're gonna see a lot of points. I will say for Tampa's sake, if they want to win this game, and actually I told this to my barber today. He was asking me about the Super Bowl and all this, and I was like, look. I was like, if Tampa wants to win the game, Godspeed. I'm kind of with you. Like, I'm not excited for sports talk after it, but I don't really have a reason to hate the team necessarily. But if they want to win, you're going to have to do it. It's a rare situation. And it's not something Tom's done historically. You're going to want to win this game in the first half because there's not a better second half coach in the league than Andy Reid. There's not a guy that adjusts better than Andy Reid. Whether it's his stuff not working or something he didn't expect to see, he makes incredible adjustments at halftime. And I think if Tampa wants to win this game, they're going to need to catch Kansas City by surprise, take advantage of some of the maybe weaknesses or mismatches that they may have found. And I think you're going to want a double-digit lead going into the half. Because if it's only a 3 or 7 point lead, I still think I like Andy in the second half. I kind of hope it's that case because maybe I can make a bet on Andy. Who knows? bet my house on it. But yeah,
don't do that.
I won't do that. That's a terrible decision. I did that once and had to get a second house.
I'm stupid. You're smart. I was wrong. You were right.
Usually,
the best, I'm the worst.
Most of the time.
Good looking. I'm not attractive.
That's not correct. That's not correct. I've never said that. But we. Yeah, the folks down here are super excited for it. It is kind of cool being in a, if there was going to be a first time for a team to play on its home field in the Super Bowl, it's kind of cool that I get to hear everybody talk about it and that it's a franchise that, up until the beginning of this season would have never expected to be here. So that's kind of exciting to watch for them. And for some of those people, great. Why not? This city's just seen failure in this regard. So I have no problem if they do, but they're going to have to score in the first half because I think whatever lead they have will shrink in the second half. I trust the Chiefs in the second half.
Yeah, it's we've seen that time and time and time again with the Chiefs. I mean, you can't just rest on a halftime lead. So like we said, obviously when you talk about the Super Bowl, prop bets are a big thing. So let's look at some of them here.
Mine is Chiefs in the second half. That's right.
The coin toss obviously is always the same odds either way because it's a 50-50, but it's minus 105 for both directions. This is an interesting one, and obviously you're probably only going to get this one during a pandemic season. What will be said first? COVID is minus 500, pandemic plus 300. So you got to look out for those. See where you can make
your pandemic. They're going to avoid the word COVID, and they're going to call it a pandemic. Take the pandemic on that one. Lock it up.
This one it's always there, but we'll see how the numbers break down, and obviously will change depending on which team. Again, with the lights behind me, both teams are red primaries this year. So color of liquid poured on winning coach: orange plus 125, red, pink plus 300, yellow green / green / lime plus 400, purple plus 600, clear plus 600, blue plus 700.
Blue's that low?
Blue's that low.
That's like the best flavor of Power / Gatorade.
Right?
And I don't even know which flavor it is because there's like 4 blues and they're all delicious. Give me that liquid. Give me that liquid ice, that liquid cold. Give me the blue, especially with those odds. I'm going to take the blue all day. But maybe do a smaller bet or kind of hedge it with a green. I don't know. The lemon limes.
Like I feel like I think a mistake people make a lot of years is they try to do it based on like the team color.
That's a terrible choice.
And nobody's thinking that far ahead.
Drink your jersey.
Well, and I feel like a lot of times it's like the lemon lime because that's like the
if anything, you would go back to previous Super Bowls played by the players and you'd look at like Tom Brady's or Andy Reid's or these other guys and be like, when they played, try to find cups. What color Gatorade were they drinking?
Yeah, like if you really want,
they're going to cater to what these players like to drink. Look at this footage from the rest of the year, or can you see into their Gatorade cups?
Yeah, there's got to be pictures somewhere of these.
If the Chiefs have always drank blue Gatorade on the sidelines, guess what they're drinking during the Super Bowl?
Right, they're not going to change it for the Super Bowl. Look at last year. Go to last year.
Last year, what did Andy get dumped on?
What did Andy get dumped on last year? I should look that up.
Probably wasn't blue if that was the odds. Actually,
probably not.
Smart for that.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it here quick. This is a fun one. How many times will Bill Belichick be mentioned? More than once is minus 175. Less than once plus 135.
They should have an odd for exactly once.
Yeah.
I want to bet exactly one time. It's clearly going to be more than one.
So
there's no way they don't mention Bill Belichick.
Last year, Andy Reid, it was orange. It was orange Gatorade.
I thought, in my head, I'm like, orange is a sneaky color. Because, like, first of all, as a kid, nobody wants to drink orange Gatorade. But I in my head, I kind of had a feeling it was orange. And Andy strikes me as an orange kind of guy.
Orange is good. Like, the orange Gatorade's solid.
Yeah, as an adult, I think it's probably my go-to because the lemon lime's way sweeter than I thought it was.
Lemon lime, and my wife's gonna get mad at me for putting this out in the airways, but lemon lime is hot trash. Lemon lime
was always my go-to, and I still, if I am participating in an athletic event, which as you can tell, not very often, lemon lime is still one of my desires going into that. I'd like to have that as a refreshment. But orange is good.
Fierce grape is probably my go-to.
Now you're hot trash.
My main one.
Nobody wants grape anythings.
It's fierce grape. Don't you talk bad about fierce grape Gatorade. It is delicious.
Don't get me wrong. I've had it and I liked it, but it's just Kool-Aid. It doesn't strike me as like I want something that just strikes me sort of different, you know?
They had these ones like a couple years ago that
Give
were
me any of the glacier flavors.
Glacier ones are good, but they had ones the other year. I can't remember like the line that it was in, but they had I want to say I gotta look up what it was. It was like black.
By the way, the fact that like big guys like us are talking about like the different lines of Gatorade, it just shows you that Gatorade's just soda without bubbles in it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not
because you and I aren't running a marathon. That's not happening.
No. Oh, the Flow. It was Gatorade Flow. Was like
Excuse me, Flow.
They had like a blackberry wave that was really good. And then there was another one. It was like a
blackberry new wave. That was a type of music, I think.
Blackberry wave was really, really good. That we bought that just like crazy in this house. Because I didn't feel like it didn't seem as like overly sugary as some of the Gatorades can get. But again, orange solid. Let's go back to this one. How many commercials will have a dog in it? Over 4.5 is minus 250. Under 4.5.
I like that they gave you the hook on
plus 170. Yeah,
like over like it's at 4.5.
Half a commercial, like what is it?
It's a betting line. It's a betting line.
Oh, that's true.
I feel like a lot of these should have had a hook on them because like that one where I was like, what if it's exactly one? Like,
right, but what's half a commercial, Sean?
Well, no, but you're betting either over 4.5, so 5 or more, or you're betting under 4.5, so 4 or less.
Oh, okay, I got you. Like
you're betting over that number or below it, so they should all have a half, so that you're not stuck in that.
Any of them that's only two options should have a half.
Right, should have a half, should have a hook on it. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of commercials.
Yeah, they're usually
I like up for the dogs. People like dogs, especially when they're at home.
Especially, like this year, I would go with the over on that one.
Take the over on that, like it's the SEC or the Big 12.
Again, only going to get this during pandemic seasons. Coach to have nostrils seen first during game. Andy Reid plus 150, Bruce Arians minus 250.
Arians.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a question.
Arians.
Andy Reid's
Arians uses the shield.
So you're going to see him.
I don't think he's used a regular mask all year. No, he has used a gator. He's used the net gator in the
gator and the thing. Andy Reid's got that
Reid's got that
elephant pouch.
Well, yeah, because he puts that thing.
Bag.
There's a thing that goes under the mask that holds it out away from your face.
Yeah, so, it's like a bag of peanuts.
Yeah,
just tuck it up in there and just delicious. It's a brilliant strategy. It's a brilliant strategy.
Absolutely. Let's see here.
There's a cheesesteak stuffed inside it.
Delicious. How many times will Gisele Bundchen be shown? Over 1.5 minus 250, under 1.5 plus 170. Go under. Is she even going to be there?
I don't know if they know that for sure. I mean, I guess you could cut to her at home. If she's not there, you're not going to cut into his home twice.
Well, that's true.
But they have this fancy new home in Tampa, so you got to show it once.
Definitely, yeah. Primary color of Patrick Mahomes' headband: red minus 400, black plus 210, gray plus 600, white plus 600.
Give me that white. Give me that white.
He usually wears, right?
That white headband. Yeah, I'm gonna rock that.
Well, because I think he goes opposite jersey color, and they're in red. They're in red.
They're in red.
Yeah, Tampa was the home team, not just because they're playing in Tampa, but they alternate this year. The NFC is the designated.
How weird would that have been if it was a Tampa one, but the NFC is the road team, and then it winds up being the home team?
Well, right. Well, and in that situation, the funny part is the Buccaneers would have had to use the visiting locker room.
Yep.
Now they get to be in their own locker room.
Right. Which is
but they elected to wear white because they've been in white all throughout the playoffs, which I like that. I like that.
You go with what's hot, you know?
Don't. I mean, the Chiefs.
Of course, the Chiefs have been in red,
right? So it's both teams have been going,
and they won the Super Bowl in red. So
yeah.
I'd like to know how many Super Bowls Tom won in white.
Ooh,
it'd be a good stat to look up.
That would be a good one.
I feel like it's not many. I feel like I remember him wearing blue in at least most of them.
Let me. I know he's lost in white.
Yeah. The Eagles won in green.
Let's see here.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's probably almost too because like trying to what do you search? Like color of jersey and Tom Brady Super Bowl just brings up the entire internet. But if you're gonna put money on that one, look into it. Let's see here. Chiefs first touchdown scorer: Tyreek Hill plus 320, Kelsey plus 350, Allaire plus 750, Hardman plus 1100, Sammy Watkins plus 1200, Patrick Mahomes plus 1200, Le'Veon Bell plus 1600.
Yeah, I mean the odds are good to just shove one of those plus 1600s in there just for kicks, but
yeah, I mean Mecole Hardman at 1100 plus 1100 I think is a fun one.
Yeah, I think if I'm going to pick one of the higher ones though, I'm going to go with the odds. I say that
I mean, let's be honest. Watkins probably not going to score. Le'Veon Bell probably not going to score.
He was trying to put in some good words though, talking up Mahomes this week.
I go Hardman because I feel like he has scored in playoffs.
But it's probably going to be Kelsey, and I can see it being Tyreek Hill if they can get. You got to make sure that the pass rush isn't getting to Mahomes. But as long as he has it, you don't need a lot of seconds for Tyreek Hill to get behind a secondary.
No.
And especially because they have one safety that's probably not going to play. They're going to have Winfield back, but there's a chance that the other is not. Especially if he's out, I would challenge that right away. I would take Tyreek Hill right at him. But Tyreek Hill's only going to score if it's a bomb or like a reverse surprise play. So Kelsey's your safest bet on that. Or Hilaire, who looked good last time.
If you want to go just on biggest bang for your buck, that's most likely, I'd go Hardman at 1100.
There you go. I'd say out high probability.
Yeah. Buccaneers first touchdown scorer: Mike Evans plus 400, Fournette plus 600, Godwin plus 600, Antonio Brown plus 700, Ronald Jones plus 750, Gronk plus 9, Scotty Miller plus 14, Cameron Brate plus 1600.
I do like the Brate at plus 16, but
that's actually
not just to score. Like I think there's a good chance Brate scores. It's tough to ask him to do it in the first one. I could see Mike Evans being a pretty obvious choice there.
Getting Antonio Brown back, decent value at 7.
You would assume Antonio Brown's back. We don't have that verified just yet.
Not confirmed, but he'll be back.
I think it's like the reason they held him out of the last game was in the hope that he would be back. But that's an interesting one. The first touchdown bet's always ridiculous.
Gronk at 900, decent value.
I would much rather have Brait at the value he's got. I think they have an equal chance of being the first touchdown.
Well, yeah. Because especially if you're going to go to one of those guys, you're going to probably be
Ronnie Jones sneaking in there at a very good value on Ronnie Jones there.
Sure is. Tom Brady, longest completion, over under 38.5 yards.
I got to take over because I was going to scream out 42 yards.
Over is minus 125, unders plus 100, but the number is 38.5.
Under pays you a little more on your bet, but it's not enough for me to say it's going to be. I think it's going to be over.
Mahomes' longest completion, 39.5 is your number. Over minus 115, under minus 105. Over. Tyreek Hill, longest reception, 26.5 yards. Under is plus 105. Over is minus 125. Over, definitely.
They're going to find at least one time to get behind that secondary. Yeah. They're going to have to.
And here's the deal: if you're betting that first scorer, if you're taking Tyreek Hill in that first scorer, then you definitely take the over on this one because that's what's going to be.
Right, I would do both. Yeah, but I mean, the only fear is that Tampa just has this dominant defensive performance. The pass rush, the Chiefs can't do anything with it, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, all these over bets are effed. You know what I mean? So it's very realistic that Tampa could shut a lot of these down. But yeah, I don't see him stopping Tyreek Hill every play.
No, you're not gonna.
He's too fast.
Player to make first reception: Kelsey plus 450, Hill plus 600, Godwin plus 650, Evans plus 800, Antonio Brown plus 9, Watkins plus 11, Fournette plus 12, Gronk plus 12, Hardman plus 16.
Good luck with that bet because it has to do with who gets the coin toss. But
well, that's
Chiefs
where
have the ball. Hilaire.
Both. Yeah.
Chiefs have the ball. I say Hilaire. Bucks have the ball. I say Scotty Miller.
Neither of them are listed here, but obviously there's got to be.
No. There's a lot of guys that aren't going to be listed. I think it's going to be like cheap little dump offs. It's a Super Bowl. Nobody wants to make the first mistake.
Yeah, I'm not
that bet.
Yeah, players to make an interception: Tyrann Mathieu plus 230, Sorensen plus 400, Snead plus 450, Brashad Breeland plus 450. Again,
I mean, it's the pick bets are like, man, if you're making those bets, like you are deep into the But obviously, I like Mathieu. I think he's going to be one of the reasons why I got the Chiefs. I think he shows a lot of holes everywhere.
Right, whichever team you want to win.
That's someone on that team.
One of you guys on that team. Let's see. Player to record 50-plus rushing yards. Fournette minus 110. Jones plus 210. Darrell Williams plus 225.
Over 50?
Over 50. Hilaire plus 400. Mahomes plus 600. Tom Brady plus 25,000.
$1 on Tom Brady rushing for 50.
You know what? I might have to do that.
It'd be amazing. Because he's going to do anything he can do to win this game. So if there's scenarios where he's got some open field, he's going to take 50 yards. If he gets like 2 12-yard rushes, he's like
I want to see how many rushing yards.
Oh, Tom Brady has like.
But I mean, he scored 1,000 touchdowns from the 1 yard line. So let's keep
like
that.
A million of them. Yeah.
Let's see here. Tom Brady career rushing yards. Does it even list them here?
It's like 400.
I got to pull up the NFL.com site because I think the Pro Football Reference only has.
But I'll tell you, for 20 plus 2,500, I'm gonna take that dollar bet. 250 beans.
Let's see here. Career. Doesn't even.
James, it's called the internet.
Well, I know, but I'm trying to look up his stats.
I haven't done it before, but you have to punch things into like an interweb, and then it brings up information.
Like they don't have rushing stats listed for him. So let's see.
How many rushing yards does Tom Brady have?
Got it. 1,043 in his career.
All I did was talk to my phone, and it told me.
Okay, just
It also wanted me to search for Gisele Bündchen.
I mean, it's not a terrible search, I guess, if you're.
It says people. I love how they like act like people who searched for that also searched for like no, they didn't. Nobody else. People searching for that did not search for LeBron James, Gisele, or Drew Brees.
No. But yeah, 1,000 career rushing yards, and I mean, here, honestly, put $1 on it. If it happens, you pay out $25,000.
Keep in mind that 1,000 broken down by 20
What?
is a very. It's not a very good per season.
Hey, it's 50 yards a year. He could do that in a game at 43 years old.
Time.
Like I said, put $1 on it. What's it going to hurt you? You're going to lose $1. But if it hits, you look like a genius. Player to record 1,000 plus receiving yards. Kelsey minus 105, Hill plus 125, Godwin plus 220.
100 plus?
100 plus. Evans plus 325, Brown plus 750, Watkins plus 9.
I like maybe Hill there.
Hardman plus 1,200, Gronk plus 1,400.
Yeah, Gronk's not going to do it. I would go like maybe
Most
Hill.
of those guys aren't doing it.
Kelsey, because one of those two is probably going to do it. I don't know that a Buck's going to. I'd say of the Bucks, I like Godwin the most. Both on that bet and as a receiver.
They're just going to spread the ball on
the other two wide receivers, and he's like the lowest build one. Like I think
Kelsey or
he's better than Brown.
Kelsey or Hill are the guys.
Also, Godwin is surprisingly big.
Yeah,
like I forget how big because I know he's fast, but then like he'll take a hit over the middle. Like I was watching the game last week, he takes a big hit, and I was like, compared to the cornerback, I was like, he's probably got 50 pounds on that corner.
Big guy.
Like, he's not a small dude.
And the final one I pulled, Tom Brady, outcome of his first pass complete is minus 200. Incomplete or sack is plus 175. Interception plus 1,800.
Also, this is just picking Vegas apart. Can the outcome of his first pass be a sack?
No.
Because it's not a pass. I guess your first pass
attempt, I guess it would be. Because it would be, yeah. So I guess it'd be completed pass to, minus 200, incomplete, or a sack.
Incomplete. I think Tom's going to have some. Everybody's got a little bit of nerves. Somebody's going to, and if he doesn't, the receiver's going to. I think incomplete's the safer play there.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, not saying that he won't. I mean, I think everybody has.
Also, I'd like to remind all listeners that I'm probably not placing any of the bets I've told you to bet.
But I would not go interception. I don't think you're going to make a pass that's going to be risky enough to get picked up.
What's the odds on the interception?
Plus 1,800.
I'm going to bet it because you said not to. It'd be hilarious. First pass, pick six.
Well, wasn't his last pass in the Super Bowl a pick six? 2 years ago? Was that 2 years ago? Yeah.
Rams?
Yeah, is it a Rams?
He beat the Rams.
Yeah, what was it? Yeah, I thought it was a pick. No, maybe not.
No,
he threw a pick six in the playoffs last year. So it wasn't the Super Bowl. It was just in the playoffs. Okay. Final thing, Sean, here tonight that I want to look at. Obviously, as football season winding down, hockey and basketball are in play. The next thing that we start to look at is Major League Baseball. And it was released last night because they were kind of having some back and forth about maybe delaying the season, hoping the pandemic calms down a little bit, get a few more fans in the stands with the players shut down. Because I think it was slightly shortened in terms of games, but and prorated salaries. So the players voted against it. Major League Baseball says the camps will open on their scheduled time, February 17th. Opening day still currently scheduled to be on time, April 1st. So less than 2 months away to opening day.
Let me just preface everything by saying, the back and forth is somewhat questionable because I'm pretty sure that was like the owners going, hey, players, like, how do you feel about delaying the season so there's a better chance we can make more money off of fans? You're going to play almost as many games, but I know you've been putting in some prep work. You're going to need to do your preseason stuff for like another month or two, and then also just play the same amount of games minus like 8. And they went back to the players, and the players were like, no. And then they were like, okay, well, then just business as usual, I guess. Like, there's no other play the league had. They were like, do you want to move this back? Because there's a good chance we're not going to make any money. And the players were like, we are. So we're going to play. So, yeah. Good for the players. Make a stand there. Play your full season. Start it now. A month or two is not going to fix anything.
Right. And that's the thing, too, is baseball made it through last season. Now, they had the hiccups early on in the year. They kind of got those settled. I mean, you're going to have cases. You're going to have protocol situations that are going to come into play. But the bottom line is you got through a season last year relatively scot-free.
Yeah.
You're an outdoor game. You're probably the safest of the big four sports in the U.S. So play the full season, with or without fans. I mean, obviously in certain states in this country, there will probably be fans, but yeah,
the Royals will have fans.
But yeah, Royals, Texas, Florida.
They came out right away and said, like, before anybody made it, like, yeah, Tampa, here in St. Pete, they'll be letting in 7,000, from what I understand, fans per game, at least as the initial number. So basically a normal Rays home game.
I was going to say, what's so they're gonna actually like get more people than normal out for a Rays game?
What's amazing is if they set that number at like 10, they would sell more tickets in a pandemic than they sold because people just itching to get out. They're like, you know what? There's only 10,000 allowed.
Let's be honest. Florida's they've been out.
Exactly. They're doing what they want.
They haven't been, bundled up like we have. But when it comes to most places they're probably going to continue to operate like we've seen with basketball and hockey and football as well. So, but baseball is scheduled to, we'll get our predictions for them as we get closer to baseball time.
Yeah, good for baseball.
So Sean, big game this Sunday. Got any snacks prepped? That's always a great question when it comes to I
don't have anything prepped. I got to set it up with Jake. Jake wasn't on here tonight. Couldn't get on. But we, I'm going to probably be watching it at Jake's house.
Okay.
So we're, I'm not making any plans out. I imagine there's going to be very few venues in Tampa Bay with social distancing during the Super Bowl. I imagine quite the pandemic spike over the next few weeks after.
There's a super spreader this weekend.
It's a bit of a super spreader in Tampa. They haven't ruled out a parade yet anyway. Obviously, you can't say we're definitely having one because that implies you're going to win. But
they're probably going to have one in Kansas City. So there's probably going to be a parade.
They do have a pretty dope pirate ship out in the Bay, like decked out in Super Bowl and Tampa Bay stuff. Pretty dope. Lit up red all the time.
Pretty cool.
A lot of pirate stuff down here. But yeah, I say I'm probably going to go something in the chicken wing realm just because football's always been my, I get to go out and eat whatever I want kind of scenario. So I fully expect something in the chicken wing realm. I just don't know if we're going to be able to order in. I don't know if we're going to be able to, we may have to just buy wings and cook them at home.
I think that's probably going to be your best bet because all of your bar restaurant things are going to be.
Because when it comes to the deliveries, we've found out a couple times that your wing houses and your Hooters and your Wild Wings and stuff, when they're too busy, it just shows up as closed on a lot of those delivery sites.
This weekend will be too busy.
Everything's going to be closed. So I don't know. Maybe we decide to order something on Saturday. I have to get in touch with him, but I assume it's going to be in that chicken wing realm. Wouldn't mind getting some soft pretzels. So maybe we can bake some soft pretzels at the house.
Some pretzels. Yeah, I last week just on a whim I bought a bag of the little super pretzel frozen nuggets. I got some Frank's frozen buffalo chicken dip
nice.
In the freezer. Actual Frank's brand, pretty solid.
I think I should just make buffalo chicken dip. I feel like I'm going to miss that, despite the fact it's no huge party of people. We should probably have that.
That's all right. Yeah, you can always. That's always a winner. But yeah, we're heading out to the grocery store in a couple days. So the store we go to has pre-made stuff, including these really banging wings, boneless wings.
Oh, that's always a good bet too.
I'm probably going to pick up some of them. Feels like a good Super Bowl snack. Maybe throw in a frozen pizza or something.
Not a bad play.
But yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna stay at home and just enjoy the Super Bowl at home. So Sean, let people know where they can follow you. We're gonna get out of here, and we'll be back next week, of course.
Well, as always, I'm here at Sean Shine State. It's SHAWM Shine State. You can always catch me there. A little this week in sports history, obviously a little Super Bowl flooded, but tried to avoid that. We're going to go to the 4th of February for all three events. In 1969, John Madden named the head coach of the Raiders. Was that one. We move up to 1991 was the day that Baseball's Hall of Fame board voted 12-0 to ban Pete Rose from baseball and the Hall of Fame for betting on sports. And finally, same day, February the 4th, 2 days from now, back in 2018, Tom Brady fell victim to Doug Peterson's Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 52 for their first franchise Super Bowl record. So go Nick Foles, go Birds. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy the big game. We'll worry about baseball and all that crap on the other end. It's football weekend. Enjoy yourself.
Exactly. Celebrate football. You can follow me at Big Jim Sports, but make sure you are following the show on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. We are at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook and Twitter. We are at Huddle Up Pod on Instagram. You can subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and all other platforms. Make sure you do that. Visit us at our home network in GSC Sports and GSCSports.com, and you'll hear from our sponsor once again, Arena Eats. Great. Whenever we get back into these buildings, folks, they're going to change the game in terms of getting your concessions, and we're going to hear from them as we go up the air. Until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and go for the win. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?